starting at the beach in Camp Pendleton, the U.S. Marine Corps' largest West Coast base, where the athletes are taking on the swim, bike, run event number 1 on day 1 of the 2012 Reebok CrossFit Games. All the athletes are in one massive heat, so the men, the women, you'll see them all here. The men in the yellow caps, the females in the orange caps. It was a short run to the start of the swim. Some male athletes creating distance for themselves already. That's Numi Snakehatter Narson. He's an Icelander living in Sweden, so he's representing Europe. He spent 7 years on the Icelandic national swim team, so he called his shot here. He wants to win the swim event. He's looking pretty so far, followed closely behind by Nate Schrader. This is way different than last year's beach event. It's rocky. The athletes were explicitly told, do not dive in. Last year they bombarded the waves. Here, they're taking their time entering the waves gingerly. Some athletes even stopping at the waterline to put on their fins. There goes Numi, already creating distance with all but one athlete. Looks to be Matt Chan, who was the winner of last year's swim portion of the beach event. Athletes off to an aggressive start. Remember, this is a very, very long event. In fact, the longest event in CrossFit Games history. You come out too hard from the gates and you're not ready for it, you could auger in. A beautiful aerial shot gives you perspective on the course there. The athletes are going to go all the way up the orange. Numi's keeping them to their right before they make their way back to the beach. Numi creating the gap between him and the other male competitors, and Deb Gordner-Carson, whose heart was broken by the beach event last year, is taking this one head first. But that's Brian Diaz from the South Central Regional. He was first place. He's on a jet ski, uncertain exactly what's going on here. His fate to be decided. Remember, if you ask for assistance, you can take a break, but these athletes are asking, you want to continue on, and then they're going to continue on. I'm not sure where Diaz's fate is going to be at this point. There, continues Travis his lead as he comes up on that final buoy. He got Matt Chan. Chad McKay is just about in lockstep with Chan. There you see Matt Chan. And he finished the swim portion of the beach event in first place last year, and coming in second this year.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Early on in the day, the marine layer had settled down. The administrators were concerned we might have to pull the plug on the event or push it back. But as you can see, the clouds are lifting, the sun's shining through. It's going to be a beautiful day here at Camp Pendleton. There's G neck and neck. Gaining some ground on that transition will be Mackey, who will overtake Chan as they approach the transition point. Now, Chad Mackey and Matt Chan, both 200-plus pound athletes. Interesting to see that they're second and third out of the water. There she is. The first female out of the water is Amy Sakamoto, the 2011 Spirit of the CrossFit Games award winner. She'll be the first female in the competition at this point. Numi here choosing to take his time. You just saw Chad McKay actually run past him. McKay looks to be a little bit more aggressive as this herd of athletes is now charging, storming the beach. And as you see, a fine mixture of males and females now finished with the swim portion of the run. Now McKay chose to forego a long transition where Numi took his time to see. Actually, McKay was second or third out of the water, and here he's making up the ground. Looks like he's going to be the first one to get his helmet on and get to his bike. CrossFit Games, truly international sport. We have an Australian and an Icelander in the lead. There's Daniel Hershey coming out of the water at this point. So again, representing Asia, our sport has grown in magnitude. 2 leaders are on the flat portion of the bike. This won't last long. These are single-speed bikes, and pretty soon these guys are going to run into rough terrain. Last year's champion, Rich Brony, and his training partner, Dan Bailey, now out of the water, looking composed. Rich lost a lot of ground at the beach event last year, but he's going to try and make up for that. Julie Boucher, second out of the water, taking her time now on the transition. Chad McKay continues to charge on this bike, looking comfortable. But here's that portion we're talking about, where the bike is more likely to get carried than ridden upon. You're going to see some carnage there. Like Boucher lost ground to Ruth Anderson Harrell, the Kiwi. She's got some triathlon experience, so no surprise that she's going to do well so far in the event. There's Boucher coming out of the gates again. She was second out of the water, and now she's entering the bike in third place. Remember, Boucher last year beat all but 8 male athletes in this competition. The 2 male leaders now charging along the dirt road, again pushing their bikes, not riding them, as they enter this rough portion of the bike. There is Matt Chan, though, however, coming in third place, getting that same portion. A little bit dangerous there. No caution from his Chan rides over by his in. And Hershey coming in hot. Excellent transitions. Hershey from Asia. Matt Chan. Again, he's out. Like the last year's beach event, walking the beach. Oh! One athlete goes down, not sure he'll be able to get that athlete. But again, very, very unforgiving terrain. There goes Numi and Chad still hanging tough. Numi was a swimmer, but he's still looking strong in this portion. He's going to be on and off the bike. These guys show us how it's done. Ruth Anderson Farrell, the Kiwi, looking strong, beating the females in this portion against the triathlete, but I don't think you can really draw a parallel to triathlon. This is not flat ground, it's unforgiving, it's a beach swim. Male athletes now padding away all those up and down coasts that we do when we come. So this event only announced on Monday night. The athletes didn't know what was coming, didn't know they were competing on Wednesday.
Hey guys!
Julie, Boucher. Not looking happy, but looking strong. Beautiful aerial shot of the course where Numi and Chad maintain the 1-2 positions. Back to the bike transition. Angie Pye looking strong in the competition. She's being chased by Sakamoto, so Angie Pye is overtaking Amy Sakamoto. Amy was the first female out of the water, and looks like she's coming fourth place. Numi now on the road, on the flat ground. This 8 kilometers, this long flat portion, about 3 miles worth of that, where you can make up some ground. These are super speed bikes, so she's probably just something where people are here. Last year's champ, Rich Brody, looking to be in good spirits, and he's hugging. Shane, no surprise, passing the male athletes. We're used to seeing her do that. And now we have a gang of athletes on the course. We're going to do a full contact bike ride. Scott mentioned there could make his mind want to be on the bike or off the bike, chose to push it instead. He's followed close behind by Angie Pye, Amy Sakamoto. Tight race for the females. Second, third, fourth place. Deb Porter, this is a success story. Last year, her CrossFit Games were ended by a swim, and here she is coming out of the ocean. That is touching. There's Nicole Carroll, CrossFit Original, directing traffic. Matt Chan now chasing down the leaders in aerodynamic. Looks to know what he's doing. I know he's had some time on a bike recently in practice. But they just cannot close the gap on Numi yet. Remember, the swim and the bike combined is one sport event. It's worth 100 points. Those are hugely valuable points. There's 350 points total up for grabs on the day. The swim and bike will be one portion of that. When these guys ditch their bikes, they'll run up the transition zone. There'll be a second portion worth 100 points as well. 2010 champ Kristen Clever now made her transition. South Central athlete Asia Bartle, one of our larger athletes, making it now on to the bike. What we have saying there's one. Asia known for a good attitude. He's going to need on this long event. He's cruising here. He's come up to the point where he's going to ditch his bike. There's only about 100.
Yeah, but Matt,
the first sport event.
I understand that.
I
don't care if anybody else does. I don't want Matt Twists.
I don't like it. Having came hot on his heels. okay, we'll take 95. Here's Chan. Matt Chan coming in third. The fourth place finisher from 2010. Looking strong. Last year, Matt won the swim portion of the beach event. He lost ground on the run. He's taking no prisoners. He's charging up the hill. There is your current female leader, Ruth Anderson Morel. Daniel Hershey representing Asia. Chasing down Chan. I think they'll be able to close that gap. But here's the look at what these athletes are going to be doing in the next portion of this event. Over 11 kilometers of up and down climbs. I want to call it a run, to be honest. On this kind of terrain, it's going to be an aggressive hike. On the downhill, you're going to see some running, but even the downhill, just the directors really at the uphills. Anderson Morel officially will be the first female to ditch her bike, but she's got some athletes on her tail. She's going to have to hustle. Meanwhile, athletes still coming out of the water. Now, there's not very much perspective when you're on the beach. They really don't know where they are in relation to one another, but the athletes who are still beach they'll probably not do that well. Nico Aropa, Europe, Jules Burrell. Now, Amy Sakamoto, and Julie Couchet neck and neck. They're going to sprint it out for these points. Now remember, this is worth 100 points, so every little second counts. They're really going to come down to a race here. However, if you burn yourself out and then you have an 11K hill run in front of you, you're going to kick your ass before you can start event number 2. Now this is dry, green terrain we already mentioned, but if you guys have not been to Southern California, this is desert. It's literally as speed as you can start a fire in this kind of environment. These guys are doing their best to stay hydrated, but it's going to be a cool 11K in front of them. Julie Couchet just in front of Swan there, the Australian athlete. Christy Phillips looking strong in this portion of the event. We stand here are your current male leaders looking very strong for this portion, but everybody is going to use reason to mention it again, aggressive fighting. Champ Christy Clever. Not where we would expect her to be at this point in competition. She's sitting pretty far back. She finished the bike transition in the bottom third of the competition, so we'll see if she can make up any ground on the run. Chris Spieler has overtaken Matt Chan. Reports from the course have been he's taking the most aggressive pace at the run. So it's closing the gap on some of these other athletes. Numi looks untouchable. Really, I'm having deja vu from 2009 with Nico Salo, a dark horse from Europe, came on the scene. Destroyed the 7-kilometer hill run, opened up everybody's eyes and made them pay attention. Numi, never heard of him before. Of course, he did well in his regional competition, but he is making a statement with his performance right now. These athletes surrounding the bend, coming up over the summit. Quite a view, I can't imagine they're taking it in. Fun for a spectator, but here goes Maggie, just probably about 45 minutes into this run, overtaking Numi. So now Chad McKay is your current male leader and the overall leader of the event. Chris Spieler looked like he had a couple of troubles even in the entrance to the water. Chris, on paper, this is his event. Every single long distance event in the CrossFit game have along with Chris. Right. Seeing Chris do it, I've never seen before. Kyle Casperbout out of North Central. 2009 Games competitor went team for a few years. Made a statement again this year at his competition. I think he's looking extremely strong at this point. Sitting in third place. All the athletes coming up on the summit. There is your female leader, Ruth Anderson Morel. True story, Ruth is a sheep farmer. She's also a games competitor. She's been around for a while. Again, triathlon and this experience is really playing to her strengths. These guys now at the summit of Microwave Mountain. You see the antenna up there on the far side of the hill marks the true summit. These guys are now going to start their
2 rounds left.
down towards the finish line. It's up and down along this dirt rutted trail. They'll come to a final 1,000 meter sprint. There's Chris Spieler on the downhill. This downhill is surprisingly brutal if you've not done it down before. It takes just as much exertion as it does to uphill, if not more. The terrain dangerous. It's loose rocks and here's McKay Newby, put to be in lockstep again, similar to 2009 when Nico Salo and Chris Steele had a conversation on the trail. Almost looks like they're running partners. There goes Kyle Kasperbauer attacking the downhills, closing the gap on first and second place. Kasperbauer's going to be a strong kid in 2009. Here he is just rushing a distance event. He's closing in there on Spieler. Spieler reports from the field. We've got audible cries from Spieler. He's having a lot of trouble. His legs blocking up. He's having lots of brain. He's trying to impart a backwards blunt downhill. Spieler is literally a Spieler that I have never seen before. He's suffering quite a bit from dehydration. He's certainly come this event, but Chris Spieler looks to be in trouble for what we would have expected from him. Kasperbauer looking strong. He will overtake now Chris Spieler. Chris Spieler really needs something to stop and stretch out his legs and get some water. And Kasperbauer taking the risk. He's still strong. He's down there with him. Sidestepping, traversing on the way down. 50 degrees probably of steep downhill. Meters McKay from Australia. Newby State covered Kevin Larson from Iceland. And he's living in Sweden, representing Europe. Now these are just undulating hills and brutal up and down. Every time you get to a summit, it's just a false summit. You've got another one in front of you. So different from a Romas, these athletes just start absolutely no idea what they're going. They've never seen this terrain before. So it's got to be punishing to the top of the hill. Just to see another one right there. Look at that perspective. We want to see how far these athletes have to go. They're looking like ants on the top of everything down, and they're making their way down towards that finish line. Anderson, the rough still charging forward. Running into the opportunity she has, and working on it. Newby showed a couple of signs of weakness here on the backside, asking for water, asking how far he had to go. Made some statements to McKay. McKay, though, just looking stalwart. Now, this is a 220-pound athlete who is currently in the lead for our distance event. With Rich Brown, last year's champion, passing out a high five, which is made good spirits. As the overall leaders and leaders take the downhill portion. Yeah, McKay just looking strong. Now we are approaching the final 1,000 meters. McKay looks over his shoulder, sees where he's got to go, and he is continuing to charge. Just on a trot, doesn't feel like he's in any danger from Newby. Now, these guys have flip-flopped from event number 1. Newby took first with 100 points. McKay took second, got 95 points. Now they'll flip-flop. McKay will take 100 points. Newby will take 95. They've got it in the bag, so not a bad way to start 2012. Reebok crossed the 195 points in the first 2 events. Again, highlighting the international nature of the CrossFit Games. We got an Australian across the finish line first, followed by an athlete representing Europe, a native of Iceland. Here comes Newby now looking over his shoulder, but really there's no one in sight down the rest of that trail. And here we will finish at Camp Pendleton, just for obstacle course. We'll kind of give a shout out to